Welcome. Welcome to the Net of Light. We apologize for being late. We're learning all this technical stuff, and it's changing all the time, just as our world is changing all the time. So we have to always be patient with one another now. Please be patient with us now. We're really glad to be back with you and spend this time together. Let me tell you what we're going to do today. I'll try to lay it out for you each time so that it's clear, you know what to expect. I expect that this will take maybe 40 minutes, maybe a little longer. There are two women who are very, very active in the Grandmothers and Net of Light work now who will be with us today. Louise from British Columbia in Canada, and Harriet from Long Island, just outside New York City. And they'll be talking, the three of us will be sharing a lot of stuff together today with you. The first thing that'll happen is I'm just going to speak a little bit about these times we're living in, which are, as well you know, entirely unprecedented. Nothing we have ever experienced before or ever even dreamed of experiencing before. So I'll speak a little bit about that. Then we will go into immediately working with the Net of Light in order that everything we do together today will come at the greatest amount of power and clarity for all of us. The Net of Light, it's like plugging something into the wall, brings in more of a charge into the work we're doing. So Harriet, who's been leading the Net of Light, worked for a long time with meditations in New York, the New York area, and decided to do that without fail every day until the lockdown was over there in New York. Will lead us in the Net of Light meditation. And then I think after she does that, I'll say a couple words, and then Louise is going to sing one of the Grandmother's songs for us. So we'll have this time of real tender receiving together. Then I'll come in and share with you kind of the lesson, I guess we call it, for today. And I'll be sharing something from the Grandmother's fourth book, which is in a work in progress now. And then after that, Harriet and Louise and I will all be sharing together how we are doing the work at this time and how the people in the Net of Light community with whom we're connected are living this message now, because that, of course, is our job. We're not here to be spectators, and we're not here to just be audience members who wait until all the action's over. We are the action, and we have a part to play in that. So first of all, about these times, well, did you ever dream that you would live through such a time as this, with all the traumas all over the world, with everything falling apart at the same time, not knowing where it's going to go, no pathway that we know of to follow except the pathway of the heart, the pathway of divine guidance. That is the only thing we can follow. That is the only true thing in this crazy upheaval we're living through. And we have a real big part to play in this. None of what's happening, horrifying as it seems, is an accident. None of it is random. It is all happening for a purpose. And if you are hearing from people who are just waiting for things to go back to normal, do not drink that Kool-Aid. We will not be going back to whatever normal was or whatever we think it was. We're going somewhere different. We're on our way to a place we haven't been before. And under all the upheaval, it's a good thing, because otherwise, if we weren't in this radical vortex of change, we would be doing the same old destruction, same old condition of life, it would be awful. So we're not doing that. We are moving forward into a new arena, and we're doing it together. That's the fun of it. We get to do all of this together. So welcome. We'll spend this time together. And I'd like now to ask Harriet, again, who's been leading these Net of Light meditations every day for the past 3 months, and who has now just switched to doing it since New York has come down off lockdown, has switched to doing it on Wednesday mornings only. And so Harriet is now going to lead us in the Net of Light meditation. Harriet.
Thank you so much, Sharon. So I'd like everyone to please sit in a comfortable chair or lie down, but as the grandmothers say, a straight back, and sitting comfortably but in stability is the best way for us to begin this. Take a deep, cleansing breath. Exhale and allow your entire physical field to just rest for this moment. And allow your heart and your soul to focus into, here I am. Drop all thought and all that you are into your heart. Now think of the great net of light that holds the earth. The grandmothers have said that this is the net of light that will hold the earth during these times of change which are upon us now. Everything is shifting now, but the net of light is eternally steady, and it embraces and embodies and holds everything that lives. Think of it as a great lighted fishing net that covers the earth farther than your eyes can see. Now go forward and take your place on the net of light. Somewhere where two of these strands come together is a place that will feel just right for you. Sit down there and let the net of light hold you, embrace you, support you. Let it pass through your field and infuse every cell in your body. Know that it is the fabric of your being. It is the fabric of the being of the universe. Breathe with it. You are in harmony with the net of light. You are deeply connected with the net of light. The net of light is lit by the radiance of your own heart. It is the purity of your heart, what the grandmothers call the jewel of the heart that lights the net. And the great love that flows out from the pure heart sends light along those strands that flow all over the cosmos. And as light flows from your heart to the net of light, instantly It washes back into your heart, filling your heart even more than it was before. So there's this intense and effortless giving and receiving of love and light through the strands of the net of light. This indeed is the net of light that holds the earth during these times of change that are upon us now. Think of our union together in the net of light. We are connected deeply. And think of our union with all those who work with the net, no matter what they call it. Some call it the web of light. Some call it the grid. Some call it Indra's net. The scientists refer to it as string theory. It is the same construct. This is the fabric of being that holds the universe in its embrace. The radiant net of light. Let it hold you now and feel what it's like to be so fully supported, to effortlessly receive everything you need, even beyond what you think. The net of light is so deeply connected to you that it sends you everything you need instantly. The grandmothers have asked that each time we meet, we cast the net of light for all beings, and this we gladly do. So right now, we think of our union with all those around the planet working with the net of light, working with the light within their own hearts, blessing all beings. We think of sacred and holy places upon our planet that are constantly charging the atmosphere with light and love. And we think of the great beings, the great saints, sages, and avatars who gladly give their lives in service. We think of the ancestors of the light, those who are no longer here in physical form, but whose love goes on and who wish also to help and serve and bless. And together in light, we cast the net of light to the entire human family, asking that wherever there is suffering, prejudice, wherever there is depression, deprivation, strife, fear, grief, and anger, that the net of light penetrate more deeply. That every man, woman, and child receive what they most need. We cast the net of light to our ancestors, maternal and paternal lines, and the ancestors of the land where we live. To all Native Americans, their tribes, and their ancestors. We cast the net of light to the leaders of this world, praying that they step into their hearts and into the net of light, that they may lead with love, harmony, understanding, and cooperation for the highest good and highest healing of all living things and Mother Earth. We cast the net of light to the brave nurses and doctors and medical support staff and hospitals and the unsung heroes of the essential workers, and to all COVID-19 patients. We cast to all those who feel alone and alienated during this time, letting them know that they are deeply connected in love and light. We cast to those who have lived in the past and to those yet to be born and just born, that they all may be held forever and always within this embrace of love and light. We cast to the animal kingdom, asking that every animal receive what they most need. We cast the net of light to the plant kingdom, to the mineral kingdom, to the nature spirits and elementals, to all marine life, all rivers and oceans of the world. We cast the net of light to everything that lives, asking that blessings flow forth everywhere. And together we ask, may everyone in all the worlds be happy. May everyone in all the worlds be happy. May everyone in all the worlds be happy. Om. Peace, peace, peace.
Let yourselves feel your body. Feel your body now as all of this goodness, all of this great good is absorbing right into your cell beds. And as you assimilate this essence in unification with one another, with the net of light, with the grandmothers, and all forms of the divine, I'm going to ask Louise if she would sing a song, one of the grandmother's songs for us.
Thank you, Sharon. All right. Oh, grandmothers, we are holding. Oh, grandmothers, we are holding the net of light. Oh, the net of light. Oh, grandmothers, we are holding. Oh, grandmothers, we are holding the net of light. Oh, the net of light. Put your feet in the soil of the tree of life. Put your feet in the soil of the tree of life. Put your feet in the soil of the tree of life. Put your feet in the soil of the tree of life. Oh, grandmothers, we are holding. Oh, grandmothers, we are holding the net of light. Oh, the net of light. The net of light. Oh, the net of light.
Thank you, Louise. Thank you. It was so cool while you were doing that. I could see all of us in Ireland singing that and, weaving around that circle there at Newgrange. It was awesome. Thank you. Well, we get to do this. We get to do this work together. We get to know one another heart to heart all over the world. There are Net of Light groups now with the most wonderful people you'd ever want to meet. Many of you are with us today, and we love you dearly. And those of you we don't know yet, we can't wait to know you too. We can't have these gatherings as we usually do, physical gatherings right now because of the COVID-19 epidemic. So what we're doing is this, where we meet on these Zoom calls, and we have them all over the world. This particular one on Sundays at this time. We picked this time so that people in North America, people in Europe, and people in Australia and New Zealand could all be in on this together at these different times of day. So we'll hold to this particular time, which is Pacific time at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And we'll be back again in 2 weeks. If you don't get these notices, just go to netoflight.org. Let us know you want to be on this mailing list, and we'll send you a notice every time we're going to meet. We also put out a newsletter from the grandmothers, which are then translated into many languages, about every 2 weeks. So that it's not a rule. It depends on when they give us something, then we offer that. All the stuff we offer and share, we do as service, so there's no charge for anything. You will have to buy a book, but you can even get those used on Amazon, and they're very inexpensive. So don't ever hold back on that. We will be back to having gatherings again in the future as soon as we can do that, but we just don't know when that'll be. I wanted to say a little bit, and then I'm going to share some of the material that I've been working on for the Grandmother's 4th book, because I think it'll be interesting for you. We have a unique opportunity to be part of this planetary change that's taking place now. Many of you follow different spiritual teachings and different spiritual teachers, and that is as it should be, because each of us has his or her right path that works best for us as we, embrace the light, and as we expand into more happiness, more goodness, more joy. It's just natural that we have a particular path to follow. Some of you follow particular various religions of the world. Some of you have a guru or a discipline that you follow, a certain kind of sadhana. Keep going. Follow the thing that's right for you. The grandmothers came because there are a lot of people who could not connect with one of these older pathways and needed a fresher way to relate to the divine. The grandmothers also came in a female form because, well, big surprise to you, the world's religions are all patriarchal, and for many women and even some men, that's hard to relate to. And so they needed a feminine form of the divine to reach. And then they also came as older women, as the archetype of grandmother, because for a lot of reasons, because the grandmother is often seen as the storehouse of wisdom, of generous love for all life, and very, very unthreatening to anyone. So, and there are other reasons as well, but they came in this particular form for our sake. Everything the divine does is for our sake. When we need a new form of divinity so that we can feel a connection again, then the divine shows up in yet another form. Expect it. It will be that way. It is the way it is. And this time that we're living through now, the grandmothers began to tell us about it as soon as I met them, which was in 1997, walking along the beach one morning. They entered my life and utterly changed my life. And from then till now, they continue to teach me and to teach many, many of us now. And there are all these groups, hundreds of groups all over the world where we meet together, we cast the net of light. We do that as service. The grandmothers have asked us to do this service for our sake and for the sake of everything that lives. Many of the spiritual teachers who are talking and teaching now talk about the net of light. They may call it different names, but it is the same construct. This has come to the foreground in the last few years. This idea of there being a fabric of being, a cosmic web, a cosmic net, a grid, a connection, this fabric of being of the universe that holds us all, so that when one of us lifts, the whole net lifts. And so we who've been drawn to the grandmother's work have this opportunity to work in this way with each other joyfully for the good of the all. And that includes us. This is no kind of, I sometimes think of it as the most selfless thing we can do and the most selfish thing we can do, because it does me so much good to do this work, and it also helps everybody else. So I'm going to read a little bit about what they say about this particular time we're living through. And I don't have a printer here at our new house yet, and so I had to do it in longhand. But I'll be able to do it. What they started off with, and this is in chapter 8 of the new book, which will be coming out hopefully in a few months. They say, whenever a great movement is called for, so is a great steadiness. Today, we begin to fill you with light, the grandmother said, more light than you have ever known before. And little by little, we will increase your capacity to receive, to hold, and give light and love to others. You are growing in power now. And if you wish, you will continue to grow. So you can think about that. Is that something I want? Because if it is something you want, they are saying they will give it to you. They go on. This is happening because you are needed now to hold light steady. Soon there will be no more stuck and static energy left on Earth. No more of the battles and struggles that have gone on for far too long. No more cycles of fear and hatred. Can you imagine it? We have come to infuse the energy of yin back into your planet, to return it to balance with the energy of yang, and you are our hands, eyes, and hearts on Earth. You are our partners in light. If you want to, just feel how your body feels. You are our partners in light. You are our hands, eyes, and hearts here on Earth. For a long time now, the world has been stuck in a state of non-expansion, of endless repetition. Although you see activity around you and a great deal of toing and froing, coming and going, for many years on Earth, there has been no real movement forward. Think about that. Think about history. Think about history in the last 100 years. The repetitive drone of wars, recession, depression, tyranny, wars, recession, depression, gluttony, wars, etc. But the grandmothers say, now it will be different. Everything will begin to change. Everything. And when a great movement is called for, so is a great steadiness. Those we have called to this work will hold and store this steadiness for this planet. You have been called. Do you doubt that? Do you think this just sort of happened on a, oh, by the way, circumstance? It did not. The grandmothers are clear about that. They say, no one comes to this work unless we call them. If you're sitting here looking at my kisser right now, it's because you have been called. Oh boy. Receiving more and more love will give you abiding joy. Your heart will swell to the point where it will automatically reach out to everyone you meet. And while this love that will be coming into you and into you will give you great joy, it will give others rest. You may have already noticed this. You may have already noticed how people respond in your presence. If you haven't, start to notice. You have a big effect, because when you walk into a room, you don't just walk into a room. The grandmothers walk into the room. The divine walks into the room with you. The divine looks at those people through your eyes. The divine touches them with your voice, with your hands. You are never alone. You are constantly surrounded and folded and embodied by the divine. So while love will give you great joy, it will give others rest. Your presence will create a holding tank for peace on earth. We urge you now to say yes to the downpouring of light that's quickly going to inundate your world. I had to stop there because I got writer's cramp, couldn't keep writing. But think about that. They are saying there is so much love in the offing, so many waves of this change, this goodness, this clarity is coming to earth, that the earth is going to be inundated by it. They went on to say, in order to prevent yourself from being inundated and swept away, ground yourself now in the work we've come to give you. Ground yourself in working with the net of light and habitually calling on it every day, as often as you want, as many times as you want. They say, read our books, practice our meditations, do all this to practically anchor and ground yourself in this work, because you are needed now. You are holding tanks of steadiness so that this work can take place now. So, how does that feel to you? Is it something you want? If it's something you want, all you need to do is just say yes. Yes. I want this. I was born for this. I get it. And I say yes. That's all they need to hear. So what I'd like to do now is for maybe 10 minutes or so, ask Louise and ask Harriet to come on with me, and for us to just talk a little bit about how you're saying yes, because I know you two are and have been, and how it's working in your life to have said yes and to be saying yes, and sometimes to have seen others also saying yes, I'm ready, use me, I'm ready to work. So I turn to you.
Karen, I think that's beautiful. And what you've just said reminds me of something that happened the other night. I went out to dinner with some friends and at someone's house, and I'm always a loving person, but I do think that there was grace working, and you could feel the love uh, being exchanged there. And at certain moments, almost the hair going up on the skin. And I do think I hadn't heard that before, and I think you're absolutely right. There's a grace working, love working, the grandmother's working through us. It's beautiful.
Similarly, in the beginning part of this pandemic, all my survival alarms went off. Pregnant daughter in the house, a 2-year-old, how are we going to get them through that? And it literally came to me in my meditation of just, I thought, I've got to get simple. I've got to get grounded. I've got to get solid. I've got to just stand still long enough to hear them. And it was very loud and clear. Do the net of light every single day. It will stabilize the house. It will stabilize my physical field. And the channel stays open to clear messages as to next steps. And the whole pandemic has felt like an earthquake, and there are continued aftershocks that are continuing. The riots, terrible looting very close to my home. And I thought nothing's changed. The net of light continues to be very, very steady. And it is only in that steadiness and holding. I did often the pitcher and cup meditation, which I found extremely helpful, because there is so much yang run amok happening that it became really a life preserver for me, doing the net of light and doing that pitcher and cup. And I just thought, there's nothing else to do. It's incredibly simple. Stay steady, stay grounded. And I found that I realized that I needed to spend at least an hour and a half outside, bare feet, on the grass, leaning up against a tree, and actually doing my meditations there. I just realized that, I mean, yes, we weren't supposed to be out, but you could be on your lawn. And that made a huge difference, huge difference.
And Harriet, I know you were doing it for yourself, but I joined one time and listened at the end. People said, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I stayed on because I'm quite keen. And one woman was just so beautiful, speaking about how much it meant to her, what you shared. And she just said, I don't want these to end. And was very moving. And so it was important, not just for yourself and your family, but others as well.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I got on when you first started that, and I was so moved. I just cried because the day I got on, there were a lot of people on that call because I could hear them coming in. And then afterwards, you were talking to someone, and you were saying that some of the nurses in the more heavily impacted hospitals in New York City had called in and had taken part in the Net of Light meditation. And oh my God, that just hit me so hard. It was such a beautiful, generous, practical gift that you gave. And I really am struck by how you did it to anchor yourself. And in anchoring yourself, you probably anchored hundreds of people.
Yeah. Again, about the nurses, it was incredible. There were actually a couple of hospitals where they were in the staff room together listening to the Net of Light. I just thought that was amazing. They just came as a group. They just stopped whatever they were doing for 15 minutes and then went back to life. Yeah, it was beautiful.
Wow. Wow.
Yes. And so I am continuing on Wednesdays. And afterwards, if someone wants to find out, I can give them the telephone number, and it's 12:15 Eastern Standard Time.
Well, there aren't enough thanks to thank you for doing that. It's wonderful. So I want to ask, besides working with the Net of Light, is there anything from the grandmother's work that's holding you steady? Harriet, you also mentioned using that picture in the cup meditation, which is absolutely so simple and practical as a way to let yourself feel and receive. Because as women, we're often giving, and we don't often know how to receive as much as to give. So that is good. Is there anything else, Louise, you're doing, or anything else, Harriet, you want to bring up that's helping you anchor this power now?
There's lots that I'm doing, but you just mentioned the picture in the cup meditation, and on the grandmother's meditation page, there's the circle of stones, and I absolutely love that. It's such a powerful one, and so that's another one that I use frequently, and find that really, really valuable.
Good, good.
And I do know that.
Okay. So, is there anything that either the two of you have that you would like to, because we have a number of, probably several hundred people with us right now, that you would like to tell them that would be of help to them right now?
I think that as far as I find that every single day for my own clients, because I'm an energy psychology coach, I continue to ask the question, what have you learned? What wisdom are you looking to anchor into your life from this pandemic? And to ask that question every day, to open their hearts very wide before stepping into the net of light, that we come with free will and with grace, and it's in the net of light. So none of, as crazy as everything is right now, it is not for naught. It is very, very purposeful. And I had a discussion with another grandmother at one point, and we both came to the conclusion that the pandemic was actually the most brilliant, feminine, divine, yin way to stop the globe without destroying Mother Earth. We were on a yang run amok where we were, as you beautifully stated from the grandmothers, that we're just cycling around through war, recession, war, and on it goes. And the next war was going to wipe out everybody and the world. But I kept thinking, this is brilliant. Look at this. They stopped sports. I mean, Divine Feminine just halted that. No NBA, no football, no baseball, no. And the men just sort of spun around and tried to figure out what to do with themselves. And what they had to do was go home and be with your family, and a little self-contemplation, just quiet down, slow it down. And I thought, this is brilliant. This is incredible. This is Divine Feminine in perfect action. And so when we have that discussion, the pandemic takes on a very beautiful wisdom And I thought, and Mother Earth, and all the YouTubes of all the animals coming out and chewing on the little bushes in the middle of Paris. I just thought this is incredible. And the waterways cleaned up and the air cleaned up, and now they're showing pictures of the Himalayas that nobody's ever seen for 57 years. I just thought this is brilliant. And I thought, do not lose the wisdom from this. And I think that that's really what the grandmothers and us as a group and in the Net of Light, and I don't mean to be flip, but we get the joke. Like we get it. So
We do. And we will continue to get it, and there'll be more. Yeah.
yes.
Is there anything else you wanted to add, Louise?
Yes, yes. I think that these are very interesting times with uncertain energy. And I think that sensitive souls often channel it through themselves as well. And a main thing that we can do is look at our own energy management. Because as someone spoke, it's like being a lighthouse for the world. So when you get knocked off, when you get fearful, when you're overwhelmed with something, then how do you bring yourself back to equilibrium, back to a place of love? Because I think it's love that's the healing force. It's love that's going to heal our world, and loving and helping each other is key in this time. But to do it from a place of as much balance as possible rather than anything else. And so what is that? Music, inspirational stories, sharing, helping each other, prayers, casting the net of light, visualizations, heartfelt connection, heartfelt desire, whatever work, beauty, connect with nature, connect with the trees, the waters, whatever works for each individual personally to bring yourself back to balance. And then from that to shine it out and share. I think that's key during these times. And because it is tumultuous times and there are things coming up. It's one thing or another. And I think it'll continue to be. And that's not a bad thing. I think these challenges need to rise to the surface. The darkness needs to rise to the surface so that it can be seen and to be healed. But meanwhile, how do we be the lighthouse? How do we be in line with?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you both for coming in today. We're going to do this again from time to time. We have so many wise and beautiful people involved in this work that we will bring certain ones in from time to time to share, because it's a much richer sharing, when it comes from more places. And thank you, Harriet, and thank you, Louise, for sharing with us today. And thank you to the council, through the Grandmothers Net of Light Council, who are always, always in support of all of us, and especially Nadia, who pulls all the strings to make these meetings come together. Be sure that we care very much about all of you, and we want to know you as much as we can. And we appreciate any questions you send in to us. We use those questions to find more information for you, to help you get what you need. If you're interested in joining a Zoom meeting, contact us through netoflight.org, and we'll kind of send you in the direction of a Zoom meeting near you. Send us any questions you have. We'll get back to you as quickly as we can. Until we can meet together in our physical groups again, we will be meeting this way. Oh, and by the way, the Swiss groups are meeting individually outdoors because they're clear enough that they can do that now. So until we meet again, which will be in 2 weeks, should be around, I don't know, I don't have the number, but maybe the 10th or 11th, something like that, of July, we'll be back with you again. Until then, we hold you in the net of light. We love you, and the grandmothers and all forms of the divine love you. See you next time. Namaste.